started already.
Yeah.
Morning lang ba?
Why? Why you look so beautiful?
Good morning, Santa Barbara. Good morning, Iloilo. Good morning, Philippines. In PREBID conferences, we are reminded of so many things. There are things that we need to prioritize, while there are things that we don't need immediate action. Let me share with you this thought. ASAP does give two different meanings. One is as soon as possible, and the other one is always say a prayer. This PREBID conference urged you to actualize the two meanings. Before you came here and the moment you received the requirements, you were encouraged to immediately start thinking and pattern your bid to what is required. And of course, you have to say a prayer. Loving and gracious God, you are indeed the giver of all good gifts, and we thank you today for all your blessings, for the successful outcome of our office accomplishments, and for the management staff and all the employees. We ask you to bless them abundantly, and we continue to seek your wisdom, guidance, courage, and strength. Be with us in our deliberations, and help us to be wise in the decisions we make for the good of those who have placed their trust and confidence in our leadership. Give us insight to lead with integrity, that our decisions may reflect what is right and good. Keep us from short-sightedness and pettiness. Help us to make decisions that are for the good of all, and guard us from the blind self-interest. Dear Lord, grant us the humility to always seek your will in all that we do and say. All glory be to you, loving God, now and always, through Christ and the Holy Spirit, forever and ever. Amen. Our procurement head, Engineer Elna Nepomuceno, will now call the roll.
Good morning once again. Today we are holding our PREBID conference for 5 civil works contracts for CY 2024 under early procurement activity. Present this morning, we have as member of Bids and Awards Committee of this office, we have Engineer Cynthia C. Caigoy as back chairperson, Engineer Eva S. Bidonia as back vice chairperson, Engineer Madonna May S. Sadapa, back provisional member and user for construction projects, and Ms. D.B.L. Ampere as back secretariat member. May I turn over this to Engineer Cynthia C. Caigoy for our PREBID conference.
Good morning once again. Since the members of the Bids and Awards Committee are in quorum, I declare this PREBID conference for civil works to order. We have 5 contract projects to be PREBID today. We have contract ID 24GI 0031, Preventive Maintenance of Road Asphalt Overlay Iloilo East Coast-Capiz Road, kilometer 283 plus to negative 120, to kilometer 284 plus 100, then to kilometer 284 plus 467, to kilometer 284 plus 700. Location, Saraga, Iloilo. Funding source, FY 2024 National Expenditure Program Early Procurement Activity with approved budget for the contract, 53,075,000. Scope of works, 50 mm thick asphalt overlay of 5.812 lane kilometer road. Contract duration is 110 calendar days. Then we have contract ID 24 GI 0032, Preventive Maintenance of Road Asphalt Overlay Iloilo-Capiz Road New Road, kilometer 12 plus 993, to kilometer 13 plus 543. Location, Leganes, Iloilo. Funding source, FY 2024 National Expenditure Program Early Procurement Activity with approved budget for the contract, 19,600,000. Scope of works, 50 mm thick asphalt overlay for 2.26 lane kilometer road, and with 74 calendar days contract duration. Then we have contract ID 24 GI 0033, construction of Commission on Population and Development, POPCOM, Family Planning Warehouse, Pavia, Iloilo. Location, Pavia, Iloilo. Funding source, FY 2024 National Expenditure Program, Early Procurement Activity. Approved budget for the contract is 7,350,000 with a scope of works construction of 11.63 meter by 19.5 meter POPCOM building with generator set as per plan and specifications, and with 154 calendar days contract duration. We have contract ID 24GI0034, construction completion of multipurpose building, Barangay Coline, Dalag, Alimodian, Iloilo. Location, Alimodian, Iloilo. Funding source, FY 2024 National Expenditure Program Early Procurement Activity. Approved budget for the contract is 2,970,000. Scope of works, construction completion of multipurpose building, stage, dressing room, and PW toilets, including electrical and plumbing, sanitary works as per plan and specification, with contract duration of 72 calendar days. Then we have contract ID 24GI0035, construction of multipurpose building, Barangay Poblacion, Pavia, Legislative Building, Pavia, Iloilo. Location, Pavia, Iloilo. Funding source, FY 2024 National Expenditure Program Early Procurement Activity with approved budget for the contract is 14,850,000. Scope of works, construction of multipurpose building, two-story legislative building as per plan and specification. And the contract duration is 143 calendar days.
For the eligibility requirements for Class A documents, we have the legal documents, technical documents, and financial documents. For Class B documents, for joint venture. For Class A documents, legal documents, registration certificate from Securities and Exchange Commission, Department of Trade and Industry for sole proprietorship or cooperative, Development Authority for cooperatives. Mayor's or business permit issued by the city or municipality where the principal place of business of the prospective bidders is located, or the equivalent document for exclusive economic zones or areas. Tax clearance per Executive Order 398 Series of 2005 as finally reviewed and approved by the Bureau of Internal Revenue. For technical documents, a valid pickup license or special pickup license in case of joint venture, and registration for the type and cost of the contract to be bid. For contract ID 24GI0031, license category B, kind of project G-1, road, highways, pavement, railways, airport, horizontal structure, and bridges. For size range, we have medium A. For contract ID 24GI0032 with license category C and D. Kind of project G-1, road, highways, pavement, railways, airport horizontal structure, and bridges. For the size range, we have small b. For contract ID 24GI0033, GI0034, and GI0035 with license category C and D, kind of project GB-1, building or industrial plant. For size range, we have small b. Statement of the bidder of all its ongoing government and private contracts, including awarded but not yet started, if any, whether similar or not similar in nature and complexity to the contract to be bid. Statement of the bidder's single largest completed contract similar to the contract to be bid. And under that, we have the adjusted to current prices using Philippine Statistic Authority Consumers Price Indices. Must be at least 50% of the ABC to be bid, provided, however, that contractors under small a and b categories without similar experience on the contract to be bid may be allowed to bid if the cost of such contract is not more than the allowable range of contract cost of their registration based on the guidelines as prescribed by the PCAB. A contract shall be considered similar to the contract to be bid if it has the following categories. For contract ID 24GI0031 and GI0032. For major category of works, road, construction, asphalt. Similar categories of work, road, rehabilitation, asphalt. For contract ID 24GI0033, GI0034, and GI0035. For major category of works, buildings, construction without piles, low-rise, concrete frame, 1 to 5 story. Similar categories of work, building, construction with piles, high-rise, concrete frame, cast-in-place piles. Buildings, construction with piles, low-rise, concrete frame, cast-in-place piles. Buildings, construction with piles, high-rise, concrete frame, driven piles. Buildings, construction with piles, low-rise, concrete frame, driven piles. Buildings, construction without piles, high-rise, concrete frame. Buildings, industrial plant, low-rise. Buildings, industrial plant, high-rise. Buildings, industrial plant, medium-rise. For financial documents, the bidder's audited financial statements showing, among the others, the bidder's total and current assets and liabilities stamped received by the BIR or its duly accredited and authorized institutions for the preceding calendar year, which should not be earlier than 2 years from the date of bid submission. The bidder's computation of net financial contracting capacity must be at least equal to approved budget for the contract, computed using the prescribed formula. NFCC is equals to current assets minus current liabilities times 15 minus the value of all outstanding or uncompleted portion of the projects under ongoing contracts, including awarded contract yet to be started, coinciding with the contract to be bid. The values of the domestic bidder's current assets and current liabilities shall be based on the latest audited financial statements submitted to the BIR. For Class B documents for joint venture, valid joint venture agreement in accordance with RA 4566 and its IRR. Each partner of the joint venture shall submit the respective PhilGIPS certificate of registration in accordance with Section 8.5.2 of this IRR. The submission of technical and financial eligibility documents by any of the joint venture partners constitutes compliance, provided that the partner responsible to submit the NFCC shall likewise submit the statement of all of its ongoing contracts and audited financial statements.
Submission and receipt of bids. First envelope, we have technical proposal, and for second envelope, we have financial proposal. One original copy of the first technical and second financial envelope of its bid Note, prior to the sale of bidding documents, only the following documents are required from prospective bidders to wit: company ID or any government-issued ID, and authorization letter if not authorized liaison officer in the CWA, for example, special power of attorney for sole proprietorship or board partnership, joint venture resolution with secretary certificate for corporation, partnership, joint venture, or cooperative. Contents of the first envelope for technical proposal, we have first, valid and updated certificate of LGIP's registration under Platinum membership in compliance to the GPPB Resolution 1521 dated October 14, 2021, issued in accordance with the amended Section 8.5.2 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184. Next, pickup license and registration, special pickup license if joint venture. Next, statement of all ongoing government and private contracts. Next, statement of SLCC. Next, NFCC computation and joint venture agreement if applicable. Original copy of bid security in the prescribed form, amount, and validity period if in the form of a surety bond. Submit also certification issued by the Insurance Commission or original copy of notarized bid securing declaration. For bid validity period, we have 120 calendar days from the date of submission of bids, and for bid security validity period is 120 calendar days from the date of submission of bids. For form of bid security, A, cash or cashier's manager's check issued by a universal or commercial bank is 2% of the approved budget for the contract in the amount of bid security and not less than the required percentage of the approved budget for the contract. B, bank draft, guarantee, or irrevocable letter of credit issued by a universal or commercial bank is 2% of the approved budget for the contract in the amount of bid security of not less than the required percentage of the ABC. C, surety bond, callable on demand issued by a surety or insurance company duly certified by the Insurance Commission as authorized to issue such security is 5% of the approved budget for the contract for the amount of bid security and not less than the required percentage of the approved budget for the contract. For project requirements, which shall include the following: first, organizational chart for the contract to be bid. Next, list of contractors personnel, for example, project manager, project engineers, materials engineers, and foreman, to be assigned to the contract to be bid with their complete qualification and experience data. And list of contractors' major equipment units which are owned, leased, or under purchase agreements supported by the proof of ownership or certification of availability of equipment from the equipment lessor vendor for the duration of the project as the case may be. And original duly signed omnibus sworn statement, and if applicable, original notarized secretary certificate in case of a corporation, partnership, or cooperative, or original special power of attorney of all members of the joint venture, giving full power and authority to its officer to sign the omnibus sworn statement in due acts to represent the bidder. For the contents of the second envelope, we have the financial proposal. First, original of duly signed and accomplished financial bid form in accordance with the form prescribed in Section 10, bidding forms of bidding documents. Next, original of duly signed bid prices in the bill of quantities. Next, duly accomplished detailed estimates form, including a summary sheet indicating the unit prices of construction materials, labor rates, and equipment rentals used in coming up with the bid. And last, cash flow by quarter.
Bid evaluation. The financial component of the bids of each past bidder shall be evaluated using non-discretionary criteria, including arithmetical corrections for computational errors, and thus determine the correct total calculated bid prices. The BAC shall automatically disqualify any total calculated bid price which exceeds the ABC. The following factors are to be considered in the evaluation of the bid prices: completeness of the bid. Bids not addressing or providing all the required items in the bidding documents, including the BOQ, shall be considered non-responsive and thus automatically disqualified. No price and required item shall be considered non-responsive and thus automatically disqualified, indicating a zero or a dash free to the government. All prices are deemed to include all taxes. For arithmetical errors, corrections, bid prices in figures versus words, words prevail. Total price per item versus unit price per item as extended or multiplied by the quantity of the item, unit price prevails. Total price versus actual sum of components items, actual sum prevails. Unit cost and detailed estimate versus unit cost and book in BOQ, BOQ prevails. Total calculated bid prices as evaluated and corrected. For computational errors and other bid modification which exceed the ABC shall be disqualified.
For post-qualification, the post-qualification shall verify, validate, and ascertain the veracity, authenticity, and validity of all the Class A eligibility documents supporting the PhilJIP's Certificate of Registration and Membership in accordance with Section 8.5.2 of Revised IRR of RA 9184. And all other statements made and documents submitted by the bidder using non-discretionary criteria. These criteria shall consider, but shall not be limited to the following: legal requirements to verify, validate, and ascertain licenses, certificates, permits, and agreements submitted by the bidder, and the fact that it is not included in any blacklist as provided in Section 25.3 of Revised IRR of RA 9184. For technical requirements, verification and validation of the bidder's stated competence and experience, and the competence and experience of the bidder's key personnel to be assigned to the project. Verification of availability and commitment, and or inspection and testing for the required capacities and operating conditions of equipment units to be owned, leased, under purchase by the bidder for use in the contract under bidding. Failure of the prospective bidder to state a complete technical description of the pledged equipment and the specific location shall result in the bidder's automatic post-disqualification for award of contract and forfeiture of its bid security per Department Order Number 58, Series of 2012. Checking the performance of the bidder in its ongoing government and private contracts. If any of these ongoing contracts shows negative slippage of at least 15% in any one project, or negative slippage of at least 10% in each of two or more contracts. Failure of the contractor to commence repair works and to complete ongoing contracts in the prescribed date after receipt of notice and defects and deficiencies. Next, failure of the contractor to commence repair works or contracts with pending certificates of acceptance in the prescribed date after the receipt of notice and defects and failures. Substandard quality of works or unsatisfactory performance per contract term and conditions at the time of inspection. Department Order Number 127, Series of 2018, strict application of RA 9184 in the conduct of the post-qualification of bidders with delayed ongoing contracts with the DPWH. Note that if the BAC verifies any of these deficiencies to be due to the contractor's fault or negligence, the agency shall disqualify the contractor from the award. Ascertainment of the authenticity of the bid security and its correctness as to type, amount, form and wording, and validity period as required in the bidding documents. For financial requirements, to verify, validate, and ascertain the bid price proposal of the bidder, and whenever applicable, the required committed line of credit in the amount specified and over the period stipulated in the bidding documents or the bidder's NFCC to ensure that the bidder can sustain the operating cash flow of the transaction. Notes on the personnel and equipment requirements of the project as per Department Order Number 9 Series of 2012, Technical Requirements for Civil Works Projects for Public Bidding. If a proposed key technical personnel is an employee of the bidder and working on another project at the same time of the bidding, the bidder shall submit a certification that the personnel will be pulled out from the ongoing project once the bidder is awarded the contract, and he or she will be replaced with another person with equal or better qualifications as certified by the head of the implementing office. The bidder may propose a key technical personnel who is not its employee, provided that the said personnel is required to submit a certification that he or she will work for the bidder if it is awarded the contract under bidding. This certification shall be included in the first envelope of the sealed bid. Also, to be verified during post-qualification is the set of equipment pledged by the bidder. The bidder should specify in the submitted bid the location of the equipment where they can be inspected. If any equipment is not in the specified location, then the bidder shall be post disqualified. For the list of key personnel for all projects and list of key equipment units, you may refer to the posted invitation to bid. The proof of ownership of equipment requirements are copies of current LTO official receipt and certificate of registration of the equipment, which should be attached together with the affidavit of ownership. In case of leased equipment, a lease contract and affidavit of commitment should be submitted with the lessor or owner as the pledger of the equipment, stating therein that the equipment will be available for the whole duration of the project. For purchase agreement, the description of the equipment to be purchased, such as brand, model, type of equipment, motor number, body number, and the capacity must be indicated in the document. Otherwise, the bank will not honor the purchase agreement and the bidder will be declared as non-complying. Likewise, list of the contractor's major equipment units pledged to be used on the project must be supported by proof of ownership if it is owned, lease agreement if it is being leased, and purchase agreement if to be purchased. A certification of availability of equipment for the duration of the project must also be provided by the equipment owner and/or lessor vendor. Prospective bidders or contractors are likewise required for the inclusion of the minimum materials testing equipment in the technical component of the bid. In compliance with Department Order Number 11, Series of 2017, superseding Department Order Number 80, Series of 1990, and all other issuances. All documents in support of the ownership of equipment, CR Certificate of Registration, current LTO OR official receipt, sales invoice official receipt if applicable, and other documents photocopied from the originals shall be legibly readable and will be authenticated as needed during the post-qualification process. Corollarily, Department Order Number 58, Series of 2012, dated August 29, 2012, further provides the inclusion of the material data on the pledged equipment of the bidder by requiring all bidder or contractor to fully comply with the contract minimum equipment requirements as prescribed in the bid documents, a complete technical description of their pledged equipment, whether owned or leased, such as but not limited to the engine number, year model, chassis number, plate number, production and load capacity, availability, and operating condition. In addition, Bidders were also required to state in their bid documents the particular place or site where the equipment are located as provided for under Department Order Number 9 Series of 2012. That failure to comply with the said requirements shall result in the bidder's automatic post-disqualification for award and forfeiture of its bid security.
For contract award, the contract shall be awarded to the bidder whose bid has been determined to be the lowest calculated and responsive bid as a result of the detailed evaluation and post-qualification conducted. Contract award should be made within the bid validity period. Notes on subcontracting is not allowed. Common reasons for rejection of bids, ineligibility and post-disqualification of bidders. Failure to submit the original copy of the surety bond certified by the Insurance Commission indicating the name of project, the procuring entity, and name of contractor. Shorter bid validity and bid security validity period. Overlapping of pledged equipment and committed key technical personnel. Failure to indicate the validity of bid in the bid form. Late of submission of bid. Failure to submit supporting documents such as certification of availability of equipment from the equipment lessor or vendor for the duration of the project if equipment pledged is to be leased or purchased. Negative slippage of at least 15% in any one project or negative slippage of at least 10% in each of 2 or more contracts, and unsatisfactory CPIS rating. Common errors in the submission of bids. Incomplete pages of bids for technical and financial documents. Authority of the signatory to sign on behalf of the bidder. For single proprietor, signatory should be the owner or proprietor only. For corporation or cooperative, board secretary certificate and board resolution. And for joint venture resolution or agreement. And for the partnership, as indicated in the articles of partnership. The deadline for the submission of clarification and amendments is on December 19, 2023, addressed to Cynthia C. Caigoy, Chairperson, email address caigoycynthia@dpwh.gov.ph, or to Elna P. Nepomuceno, Head Procurement Unit, email address nepomucenoelna@dpwh.gov.ph. Deadline for the submission of bids, December 27, 2023 at 9 a.m. Number of copies of bid proposal, 1 original copy for the first technical and second financial envelope of its bid. Place of submission of bids, Back Procurement Office, DPWH Iloilo 4th, DEO. To all prospective bidders, you may submit your bid either electronically or manually pursuant to Department Order Number 87 Series of 2020 and submit your queries, if any, until December 19, 2023, at least 10 days from the opening of bids. Our PREBID conference for civil works adjourned at